The story begins with Sito, who is being chased by a starving wolf. Yet he manages to defeat it despite his weakness. After that, his life in the outskirts is extremely difficult, with no home and no family, but he always possesses the will to live a better life. As time passes, his life improves, he becomes relatively stable, his name becomes Haim, and he also grows familiar with the villagers. An old woman thanks him for helping her and says that he is kind, which makes her want to introduce him to other girls. After some time, Haim goes into the dungeon to gather meat, and there he finds a girl trapped inside a slime named Rirui. She tells him that this slime is a strong opponent. Haim helps her, and from her he learns that she is alone because her family abandoned her, and that she came hiding inside a merchant's cargo. Even though he advises her to go on alone, Rirui decides to follow him because she is hungry and afraid to walk by herself. After that, they face a massive wild boar, and Haim manages to handle it and end the situation, leaving Rirui impressed by what she has seen. Then an elf named Olive says that the shelter cannot accept Rirui because she is not from the village. So Haim decides to go to the shelter and help her. He greets the nun and asks her whether they are living well, but she tells him that things are difficult. At that point, Haim thinks about helping them every month with meat and money. The nun tells him that helping children does not only mean providing meat, but also clothes, supplies, food, medicine, and education, because a child needs many things in order to live. Haim explains to her that the girl is not his daughter, and that he does not know her well, but that he is interested in helping her. Then Olive arrives and becomes worried when she sees Rirui alone in a dangerous place. So Haim runs to save her from a huge wolf. Rirui tells him that she tried to defeat the wolf because she was hungry. So Haim asks her to stop crying and offers her the chance to become his companion and to learn how to divide the meat among the entire village. That night, everyone is happy with the food, while Haim knows that he must be strict with Rirui so she can learn how to become smarter. After that, a strange incident happens when Rirui suddenly grows older, and then they return to the guild, where Haim informs Olive about the mysterious situation. Olive advises them to gather herbs and materials from slimes for training. Rirui faces the slime that had nearly killed her before, and she tries to defeat it despite her recklessness, while Haim sits and watches her because she is truly trying her best. In the end, Rirui refuses to eat because she feels that she did not work well enough, and this reveals the strength of her self-reliance and her desire not to become a burden. Haim does not know how to act in some situations because he has never faced them before, and his mind is usually occupied with food, sleep, and fighting. Rirui refuses to eat at first, so Haim thinks about the adventurer's motto, "If you do not work, you will starve." He also thinks about the motto of Friends, "I will not fill my stomach and leave my friend without help." Their goal now is to go to the dungeon and for Rirui to defeat the slime so that they can eat together. Inside the dungeon, Haim advises Rirui to focus on her enemy and search for its weak point, explaining that a slime's weak point is in its eyes. After that, Rirui manages to defeat it, and they eat bread and celebrate. Olive apologizes because she has not finished researching the ancient species, and it turns out that some of them can be frightening at times, such as types that suddenly grow larger at night. It may be a type called Scopo, but she is not certain. Haim tries to understand whether Rirui is a Scopo, and Olive says that she will investigate the matter further. A few days later, they go to a place where some men are happy to see Veronica, who refuses money from a man she calls a pig because it is not enough, and she also manages to defeat the man who tries to exploit her with intelligence and strength. In the end, Veronica proves that she is strong and stubborn, and that no outsider can influence her. Veronica returns and sees our hero, so everyone sits at the table and eats. Rirui suddenly changes and becomes older, which surprises Natalie, while Veronica confirms that she is a Scopo. Rirui is happy because she sees Veronica as strong and majestic, so she asks her whether she can become like her in the future. And Veronica says that it is possible if she trains. Haim tries to pay Veronica because she confirmed Rirui's type, but she refuses, so Haim keeps insisting on inviting her to eat. The next day, Rirui returns to her normal form, and Veronica comes to visit her, saying that she sees Rirui as a raw gem that needs polishing. Haim tries to explain that they do not understand each other well, and this makes Rirui feel sad. Veronica says that if Haim takes Rirui with him, he will be able to continue his adventures alone. Haim replies naively that he will not cry, and this surprises Veronica. The next day, they all gather to go to the dungeon and collect glowing stones. Haim advises Rirui to be careful because she looks sad and lacking confidence. Veronica uses the situation to make things more mysterious, while Haim had already warned the others about a trap along the way. Although Rirui is able to save herself, Veronica grabs her so she can take her with her. Haim tries to activate the trap again, but it does not work, and he is worried about the number of monsters inside the dungeon. The blonde man advises him that they should go to the 2 most dangerous floors, so Haim agrees, because if Rirui goes to the first 2 floors, they will be safe. The blonde man accepts being called a pig, which slightly eases the tense atmosphere. Rirui asks Veronica to stand behind her because she is afraid. Veronica tries to scare her a little but then reassures her afterward. Rirui says that an adventurer should not be afraid because fear paralyzes the body and mind. But when she sees the monster, she freezes in place. So Veronica strikes it and teaches her lessons about courage. The little girl regains her courage and follows her instincts as an adventurer until she reaches the end of the floor, where they find an empty chest. Rirui feels a little sad, but Veronica teaches her how to hide inside the chest to distract the monster, so they both hide together. Rirui is still young and does not understand many things, so Veronica teaches her that beauty is a talent not everyone possesses. After that, Jimmy appears and the giant attacks him, so Haim ends the matter with one swift blow. Rirui feels happy and does not cry so that she can become an adventurer with a steady heart, and this brings a smile to Haim's face. Then they continue collecting the glowing stones together. While they are working, Veronica watches them but suddenly remembers that her chair has disappeared. After the day ends, everyone celebrates, and Haim notices that Rirui is sad because she sees herself as a burden, but he tells her to accept herself and be happy, and makes her eat and enjoy herself. In the end, Rirui rejects Veronica's offer and says that her talent is to be happy and laugh, just as Haim said. Veronica considers this a success in the test. It turns out that she had been testing Haim, and that if she had discovered that he had harmed anyone of her kind, she would have punished him. After that, they go to the labyrinth market, which is full of movement like a festival. Haim wants to buy clothes for Rirui, but she becomes interested in a strange egg and keeps insisting until he buys it for her. After that, they meet Anyango, who is running away from someone, and then Rirui tries on her new clothes. Haim had intended to eat the egg, and this makes Rirui extremely sad, but he reassures her that it is not for eating. After that, they enter the labyrinth, and Haim begins to worry because Rirui is still weak. There, they meet Anyango again and discover that she is a child alone inside the labyrinth. They return her to her grandmother, who thanks Haim and admits that he is a kind adventurer, though that might seem like weakness among adventurers. The grandmother tries to stop Anyango from entering the labyrinth, but she is determined. In the end, Rirui sees that Anyango is interested in blacksmithing, and the child says that her goal is to strengthen herself, become a blacksmith, and control the spirits of fire. Rirui asks Anyango whether she has to wait until she grows up, but Anyango says that she wants to achieve her dream before her grandmother dies, and this affects Rirui because she feels something similar toward Haim. She decides to help her, and they indeed go to Haim, but he has already anticipated them and says that Anyango will be her guide in the labyrinth while asking them not to go alone. In the labyrinth, Rirui and Anyango formed a team and managed to defeat the slime, which made Haim happy because Rirui had made a friend. But danger appeared when some adventurers brought in huge boars, and Haim saved Anyango at the last moment, which made Rirui feel a little jealous. After that, Rirui dreamed that she defeated a cyclops with fire magic, and when she woke up, she said she had discovered her ability to use magic and wanted to learn it. Haim said that he was not very good at magic, but Natalie suggested that they try to discover Rirui's spiritual archetype. Our hero started thinking that magic might suit her better than fighting. They went to the church, and there the woman explained the 4 spirits to them: fire, water, earth, and wind. Then she opened the door to the catalog forest so they could discover Rirui's affinity. Haim asked her to be brave and enter alone, and she actually went inside. Inside the forest, she saw strange creatures and became a little frightened, but she tried to hold on to her courage. After exploring the place, she reached an area that looked like the sea, and there she met an enormous being. She tried to face it with her magic, but her power was still far too weak. Rirui thought her adventure had ended in front of the giant turtle, but then she felt something cold in her hand, and a strange mark appeared. After that, the door returned, and she came out. She told Haim and the old woman that she had seen a giant turtle, and it turned out to be the ancient reverend, which meant that the water spirits had chosen Rirui. The mark that appeared on her was also proof of an extremely strong water blessing, and this made her able to use magic without tools. Rirui became excited and went to the labyrinth to test her power. She faced the slime again and tried using water magic. After that, Olive told them that if they completed a certain quest, they would be able to become bronze rank adventurers, so they agreed in order to raise their rank. She also explained the labyrinth destroyer to them, which made them imagine terrifying monsters. During the quest, the girls tried to defeat the mini-pig on their own, but it was too strong for them, and in the end, our hero had to intervene. After they finished, the chest appeared, so they returned happily because they had become bronze rank adventurers. After that, they met a being named Joe, and they were told that the real destroyer was named Suki. She was one of the ancient species with terrifying power, as she could turn anything she looked at into stone. The next day, they learned that Joe was Suki's guide, and they saw the terrifying effect of her power when everything she looked at turned to stone. Haim explained that ancient species possessed extremely strange abilities, and that Suki only looked at the sky so she would not hurt anyone. This made Rirui understand how full this world was of terrifying and mysterious powers. Haim thought that Suki's situation was difficult, but suddenly she was able to open her eyes and see the world without turning anything into stone. This made her extremely happy, and she started exploring everything around her like a child. Haim suspected that something strange was going on, especially when he noticed that the place resembled the spot where Rirui had received her power. After that, he saw a strange mark on Rirui's hand, and remembered that it was the mark of a special skill. He connected it to dreams and the ancient species, and concluded that Rirui might be a type of succubus capable of controlling dreams. Suki thanked Rirui because she had allowed her to experience something beautiful, then asked Haim to go out with her, and it seemed that the relationship between them was starting to become a little strange. In truth, Suki remained interested in Haim, and this bothered Rirui a little. At the same time, Anyango noticed that Rirui had become stronger and more dangerous, and the girls began asking Haim what was happening. When they returned to the inn, Olive was surprised by Suki's presence, so Haim explained that she had confessed her feelings to him and warned them not to upset her because her power was dangerous. During the meal, Suki tried to serve them, but she messed things up. Even so, she admitted that she was happy and that this was her first love. Haim became confused, so Veronica took him aside and told him to reject her. She reminded him of their old relationship and told him she was surprised that he did not notice her, asking him at least to show her some attention before rejecting her. Haim was confused by Veronica's behavior, and suddenly Rirui promised him that she would become a strong adventurer. After that, he went to talk with Suki, who thought that it was a date, but he gently rejected her and said he was not interested in romance right now. This made her cry, and when he felt that the situation might get out of control, he agreed to go out with her, though the moment was extremely strange and tense. After that, Rirui focused on the egg that Haim had brought. She was certain that something special would hatch from it, like a dragon, but in truth, an ordinary chick came out. Even so, she loved it, and named it Dragon, considering it her companion. Haim remembered that he once had a dog in the past and was forced to eat it because of hunger, which made the atmosphere a little strange. Inside the dungeon, Rirui tried to train Dragon, but it caused problems, and could not help even against slimes, so it became something of a burden. After that, they decided to leave it at the inn, but when they returned, they found that it had caused a huge mess and even dirtied Haim's bed. In the end, they tried to make it work at the inn, but it was obvious that it was not suited for work, while Rirui remained convinced that it would become useful with some training. And if Dragon remained useless, Haim would surely eat it in soup. And of course Rirui did not want anything like that to happen. Natalie could not believe this would happen, because Jaime was a true adventurer and did not need to do something like that. So she asked him directly, but our hero only laughed. It was clear that he was insane. Now the two girls were encouraging Dragon so it could learn how to work. As for the boy, he only hoped that Jaime would not ask him to cook Dragon, because even he had grown attached to it. A little later, our hero asked Rirui to walk with him to work, because today they had to patrol the surrounding area. But the little girl, even though she knew she had to go with our hero, began thinking about how much Dragon had suffered so far. She felt very sad about leaving it behind like that for no reason, so she gathered her courage and told Jaime that she would not go with him. Rirui's goal was to stay with Dragon until it learned to work with her, but it seemed that the poor bird knew nothing now, except how to cause chaos and leave droppings behind. When we returned to Jaime, he was inspecting the forest and found birds that seemed to be relatives of Dragon. It looked like our hero's current job was to track a certain creature, but he remembered that Rirui was not beside him. It seemed that having her with him had become a habit, to the point that being alone now felt strange to him. Natalie taught them how to fold some things for Rirui and Dragon, and when they tried it, they did an excellent job. But the problem was that the big bird walked over the cloth and made it completely dirty. When we returned to our hero, he told the elf that he might have found traces of a black bear. She told him that this was dangerous because these bears reproduce quickly and then become aggressive toward humans. That meant it had to be eliminated quickly before things became more complicated. Our hero thought that the bear might have come down from the mountains in search of food, but Olive told him that this mission would be an official guild assignment and that he had to find it quickly. The next morning, while they were eating, they noticed that Natalie looked extremely tired. Rirui asked her what had happened, and Natalie said she was fine and that nothing was wrong, in fact claiming that she was better than ever. But it was obvious that she had caught a cold and had a slight fever. The blind man asked her to take the day off, but it seemed that she was exhausted from working too much. Natalie said that the busy work season was approaching and that there was a lot to do, so she could not simply take a day off like that. The blind man told her that she needed to understand that her illness could get worse. Rirui offered to take over the work with Dragon, at least for today. Natalie thanked them, but she did not think it was a good idea. Jaime asked her to trust them because he was confident that Rirui would do an excellent job. Since Natalie insisted on working, our hero carried her in his arms to take her somewhere to rest, but it seemed that the situation was too much for her, and she fainted. This caused intense jealousy among those present. The good thing was that they kept working excellently for a long time. Then we saw Dragon bump into a bucket of water, but that was a small issue that could be fixed, so Rirui handled it and asked the boy to bring Natalie's food so she could serve it to her, perhaps because of the fever. Natalie began thinking about the past, when she used to love helping her mother with cleaning and work. She admitted that when she gets sick, she becomes weaker than usual. The little girl began crying because she missed her mother, but Rirui asked her if everything was all right. Natalie asked her how long she had been standing there, and Rirui told her that she had been there for quite some time. In truth, she apologized because she was not her mother, but at least she had brought her food. Natalie said it was all right, and that her mother had passed away 3 years ago, which was why she became sad whenever she got sick. After they ate, she thanked them because they had helped her with all of the day's work as well. Rirui admitted that Natalie's job was harder than she had expected, and that Natalie deserved respect. Natalie said it was not a big deal, but that she enjoyed it very much and loved helping adventurers and other people. Rirui asked her how she helped adventurers, and Natalie told her that she cleaned the place and prepared it so they could eat and rest, which was why she did not want to miss even a single day of work. Rirui was certain that Natalie would make an excellent wife, but she warned her not to think about Jaime because she would never become his wife. When she returned to him, she told Olive that the day had not been good because she had not been able to find her target, but she would go out to search for it again tomorrow. Olive advised her to hand the mission over to a beastman with a strong sense of smell because he would be the most suitable for it. And at the inn, he said that he did not know what he should do now. Haim had spent a very long time inside dungeons, so it was obvious that he needed a great deal of experience if he wanted to track prey out in the wild. As for Rirui, she only understood that our hero also had things he was bad at, so she decided to use that fact in the future. The next morning, Jaime greeted Natalia, and it was clear that she had gotten much better. She told him that thanks to Rirui and her dragon, she had been able to rest in the best way possible, and she was very grateful to both of them. Suddenly, the two of them appeared and told him that they would accompany him, but he refused and said it would be better for them to stay and help Natalie. But since Rirui had no intention of letting the matter go, she insisted strongly until Jaime agreed to let them come with him, though he asked them not to become a burden. While exploring the wilderness, our hero saw huge marks on the ground, and it was certain that they had been left by the black bear. But what caught his attention was that these marks were in a very low place, which was not normal. Her dragon started running wildly, and Rirui did not want it to go alone, so she began chasing after it. After a long pursuit, they reached a place where there were birds that resembled her dragon. It was not clear how or why, but it seemed that her dragon was trying to send a message to the larger birds. After they heard it, those birds began making extremely loud sounds. The sound was so intense that Jaime could not endure it, while Rirui seemed to be paralyzed for a moment. And it did not stop there, because her dragon rushed out at full speed toward an unknown place, so Rirui and Jaime started chasing it again. Strangely enough, it led them directly to the black bear's location. Jaime could hardly believe that what her dragon had probably done was make sounds and gather information from birds of its own kind, and by doing so, it discovered where the bear was. It was truly amazing. Rirui said that she would handle the rest, but our hero did not understand what she thought she was capable of doing. The moment she saw the bear attack, she started crying, and in the end, Jaime handled the whole situation. Then Rirui asked him if her dragon had been useful, and he told her that it had indeed been very useful. In truth, it had been extremely important in gathering information, to the point that sometimes it might even be more important than her. What a shock! I have no words, but this time she was truly right. When they returned to the inn, we saw Rirui leveling up, as she had started serving drinks because she wanted to work harder and become more useful than her dragon. Veronica knew that Jaime was the reason behind it. But then, a woman came asking for her. Veronica said she knew her, and that her name was Tanya, then asked her what she was doing here. Tanya said that something major had happened, and Veronica had to know about it. It turned out that her business, Succubus Wings, had gone bankrupt. While they were riding the carriage, Jaime asked Rirui to be careful so she would not fall. But before we continue, we go back a little to when the news of the bankruptcy reached Veronica. She had no idea that things were that bad, but Tanya explained to her that it was indeed the case. Jaime began mocking her harshly because he found the situation extremely funny. But what he did not expect was to see Veronica crying in his arms because the news hurt her deeply. She told him that she had started from nothing in the slums, and when she thought she had finally come close to stability in her work, this terrible news reached her. That was why she asked Jaime to go with her to the city, because with the rebuilding she would not be able to pay much, and she asked for his help. In the end, our hero agreed because he felt sorry for her, but the truth was that both of them looked as though they were hiding something. They had a plan whose full details we do not yet know, but the time to reveal it will certainly come. And so we return to the present, where the young ones have arrived in the city. Our hero cannot stop himself from remembering his past when he sees a boy running. He feels that the shadows of the walls are still far too long. Veronica tells him not to pretend to be strong and to hurry up. A little later, we see that the entire shop has been destroyed, and in fact, it had even sunk. Even Jaime is surprised because he had not expected things to be this bad. A woman dressed like a police officer appears and orders everyone to stand behind the line for safety. Her name is Marbielle, and she is one of Veronica's girls. Veronica asks her what happened, and Marbielle explains that she is working part-time somewhere else because, as everyone can see, this shop is no longer usable for anything now. Suddenly, another woman appears, named Jessie, whose nickname is Freckles, although she hides her freckles with makeup. She is Veronica's rival, and she has come to make fun of what happened to the shop. Veronica immediately thinks that Jessie is behind all this, but Jessie tells her that it was not her, and that a mist dragon had fallen onto the shop. Despite how strange that sounds, Marbielle tells Veronica that it is true, and that the guild even issued an official report that morning. According to the report, the mist dragon sat on the roof of the shop, but because of its enormous weight, the building could not withstand it and collapsed. For Veronica, this was the last straw, especially since she had excluded dragons from her monster insurance. Truly, what are the odds of something like that happening? There is no logic to it at all. Jessie tells her to calm down because she is very concerned about her girls. As for Jaime and Rirui, they seem to think that this is a kind gesture, but Veronica insists that she is not doing it because she is kind, but because she is very evil. Jessie offers Veronica a deal. She will take care of her girls until Veronica rebuilds her shop, and in return, Veronica must free Sir Richard from his slavery. Yes, that is his name, Elfo. No one knew that. Not even me. In the past, Veronica used to call him Chair, or Feraliz. Jessie asks her to stop treating him badly, and there is an implied question about whether Veronica is fond of him. The answer is obvious. So Jessie tells her that if she pays the cost of rebuilding the shop, and because Jessie knew that Veronica would resort to these tricks, she also proposes a dungeon challenge. If Veronica wins, Jessie will pay half the rebuilding cost. If she loses, she must free Richard, and Veronica herself will work for Jessie. And that is the agreement. Afterward, While they are eating, Veronica feels that none of this looks promising. Tanya explains that Jessie usually buys all the dungeon maps, and that she has a team called Terraverse that specializes in dungeons. It is clear that Jessie has an enormous advantage. Richard asks Veronica not to worry, and says that if she loses, he will leave her side. Since he does not want that to happen, he promises that he will work hard so they can win. The truth is that this is not in his own interest, but it seems that he is under some strange effect from slavery, which is why he says such odd things. Poor man. I honestly do not know how he ended up in this state. The next morning, the two teams gather at the entrance of the dungeon, and Veronica takes the opportunity to hit Richard. I do not know if her old habit had returned or if she wanted to provoke Jessie, and perhaps it was a mixture of both. After that, the rules are explained, and the battle will be team against team. The team that defeats the mid-boss, meaning the revival monster, will be the winner. And so the challenge begins. The tiger-like men say that they will be extremely fast because that is what Jessie ordered. But the difference between Jessie's abilities and the tiger's abilities is enormous. Then it happens suddenly. Richard is the one who takes the hit to protect Jessie. Although she is happy that he saved her, Veronica gets angry at him because he was not supposed to protect her. He apologizes, but admits that the trap was calling to him and he could not refuse. The two of them begin arguing over Richard, but Rirui and Haim know that the tigers have gained the advantage, so they start running as well. But the problem is that after a while, they seem to reach a dead end. However, since Dragon seems to be a genius, it manages to solve the puzzle. It climbs onto the statue's hand and opens a secret underground entrance. What a little hero, even though they had wanted to turn it into an omelet. While those two are still arguing, Rirui and Haim reach a treasure chest. Rirui is extremely excited, and inside the chest they find a staff and adult-sized clothes. Even though they were not supposed to fit the little fairy, our hero tells her to try them on, and she is surprised when the clothes fit her perfectly. Then our hero explains to her that items found inside dungeons adapt to the person who finds them. Now Rirui feels a great surge of power and does not want to waste any time. A little later, they arrive at the hall where the tigers are fighting a strange golden monster. Our hero assumes that it is the dungeon's mid-boss, and Rirui prepares to fight. Of course, our hero stops her, because if the monster attacks her at her current level, it will crush her. He tells her that if she wants to attack, she should do it with magic from a distance. The problem is that she reminds him that her water magic is only good for bathing, and cannot even hurt a small slime. Our hero then thinks that since she has reached a new level, and now has new clothes as well, she might as well try it and see what happens. So the fairy uses her magic, and it seems that she has gained far greater ability thanks to the staff she found. The magic is extremely powerful, so powerful that it pushes the monster back and sends it flying. Then Rirui delivers the final blow, and the tigers are overjoyed because she struck at exactly the right time. Haim is surprised that the tigers do not get angry at her for literally stealing their prey. When they return, they find that the mid-boss has been defeated. They ask who did it, and Veronica becomes happy when she learns that Rirui was the one responsible. As for Jessie, she is sad because she lost. Veronica thanks Rirui deeply. A little later, people gather around Haim, and they are very grateful to him because he went into the dungeon and recovered Veronica's building, allowing them to work again. Rirui gets angry when she sees this and asks our hero whether they are not supposed to go buy souvenirs together. He tells her not to bother him because he is very busy right now. Rirui reminds him that they are leaving that very night and that they have no time to waste. The people who were thanking him become sad because they wanted to spend more time with him. And although Haim wants to stay, Rirui is not about to let him. Out in the street, our hero feels sad because he had finally been enjoying something nice. But Rirui reminds him that Olive asked him to buy perfume for her, because it is extremely popular these days. In the end, our hero manages to buy it, but he cannot understand how a little scented water can be this expensive. He feels that someone from the slums like him will never understand this kind of thing. A few seconds later, while he is lost in thought, he remembers the slums. Rirui asks him what he means, so he explains to her that it is the area where he used to live. He thinks that since they are already in the city, he should go and pay his respects. Rirui asks him whether it is his parents' grave, and he tells her no, it is the grave of a friend he used to spend time with. In the slums, Rirui feels tense. There are many people with unsettling appearances, and they are watching them carefully. Our hero reassures her, saying that they are looking at dragon because it looks very tasty to them. Rirui panics and tells them that dragon is not for eating, and that they had better not try to eat it. A little later, they meet an old man who, according to Rirui, sells garbage. Haim laughs at her words, but the old man seems to know our hero. He calls him, "You good-for-nothing brat," and asks him whether he has decided to come back. Haim replies that he has not, and that he only came because of some unfinished business. The old man asks whether Rirui is his daughter, and our hero says she is not. Then he says that she is a little girl he recently adopted. At that, the old man changes his opinion and starts seeing our hero as a very kind person, to the point that he wants to give him the title of Angel of the Slums. Rirui asks how he got to know Haim, so he tells her that when our hero was little, he tried to steal some things from his shop. What shocked Rirui the most was that she considered that place a shop at all. After hearing a little about how Haim stole from the old man, how he received his punishment, and everything that happened, Rirui understands that this terrible place is where our hero grew up. And even though it does not show clearly on him, it has great emotional value to him. But the situation changes when one of the boys takes Dragon with him. Rirui tries to warn him, but Haim only encourages her to solve the matter herself. Truly, he is skilled. Because the boy intends to eat Dragon, Rirui becomes extremely angry and decides to use her water magic to stop him. But the magic has become very powerful now, and it causes a great deal of damage. The man affected by the fairy's magic comes out extremely angry and asks who is responsible for this. Then he asks our hero whether he did it, but Haim greets him because he is someone he knows. The man's name is Luton. And although he seems to be the leader of the area, he respects our hero, or perhaps fears him a little. Luton's assistant asks Haim who he is, because this area belongs to Luton and not to just anyone. But Haim simply performs something called the slum chain, then moves on. Honestly, I am amazed by the amount of hostility in this place. A little later, they arrive at our hero's friend's grave, but the moment they place the offerings, some children take them. Rirui does not understand what is happening, but our hero explains to her that this is the system here, and that he did the same thing in the past. He also tells her that when someone dies, their body is burned, and their ashes go into the road beneath the sun. Now he wonders where those ashes have reached, and hopes they made it somewhere without being hungry. Rirui tries to comfort him a little, but Haim does not seem very comfortable with those words. She thinks that if he had been by her side while she was growing up, he would have helped her a lot, so she would not have gone through what he did. Now it seems that the old man and the other youths are enjoying the offerings our hero brought, but Rirui's curiosity pushes her to know what those two are doing. Haim explains to her that they are catching rats to earn money. He did that too when he was young, so Rirui wants to try. Our hero will help her this time only because the others need to hunt in order to eat. After they lower a larva from a tree and use it as bait for the rat, they start throwing stones and everything else. It is difficult for Rirui, but she still wants to try. While she is hunting with the boys, our hero thinks that if she had grown up with him, life would have been harder, but it would also have been more fun. A few days later, the children return to the Nescafe and bring Natalie a souvenir. She does not know what it is, but the chicken-like man tells her that it resembles a two-legged shachijoku and that it is definitely from Yanago. Our hero is surprised that he knows these details, and the man says that he is something like a scholar, which is why he knows many things. Rirui says that she is the one who defeated that monster, and this surprises the chicken-like man, because in his opinion, the two of them seem to be skilled adventurers. He also says that he has been gathering information about monsters, and therefore he strongly wants the two of them to go with him to the Mazmoa as guards. Of course, they both agree, and the next day they meet at the entrance of the Mazmoa. Haim asks whether this girl will also go with them, and the scholar tells him yes because she does not want to stay outside. Rirui warns the girl that the Mazmoa is dangerous for a little girl, but the girl replies, "And what's the problem? I'm a girl too." Then she starts talking about how stupid and foolish adventurers are and things of that sort. Her name is Shoko, and it is obvious that she does not like adventurers at all. As soon as they enter the Mazmoa, Rirui becomes extremely angry at Shoko because she spoke badly about an adventurer like Haim. She wants to make her fall into a trap so she can learn not to insult adventurers, but in the end, she saves her because she cannot bring herself to do something like that. Shoko asks why she stopped her because her glasses can detect traps on the early levels and tells her not to waste her time. Of course, this makes Rirui very angry. She simply cannot stand her. A little later, our hero is surprised that the scholar is writing notes, even about the simplest monsters there. Rirui asks the man why he does not simply ask someone from the guild about these monsters instead of going through all this trouble. The scholar tells her that her question is excellent, then explains that there are still many unknown things about the Mazmoa. Sometimes monsters change without any reason. They may suddenly grow larger or smaller, and this constantly causes problems for adventurers. But these changes can be predicted. He asks Rirui whether she has ever seen a slime trembling in a corner, and she says no. He advises her that if she ever encounters one, she should not waste her effort on it, but should come back and check on it the next day. And why? Because its eyes will turn into jewels. Rirui does not believe that, but the man assures her that it is true, and that knowing such things requires monitoring monsters regularly. Shoko asks Rirui whether she did not know that, and says it is strange that she does not know something so well known, and that this proves adventurers are foolish. Rirui cannot stay silent after that. The two girls begin arguing, but Haim intervenes and tells them to stop, because they are inside the Mazmoa, and this is not a place for fighting among themselves. After that, they continue taking notes on many different types of monsters. At some point, our hero tells the scholar that he should rest for a little while, because they have been working for many hours without stopping. But the two girls continue their own thing, and Rirui thinks that Shoko might be drawing a monster just to mock her. But the problem is that Shoko is actually very good at drawing, even better than her. Haim asks the man whether he has been working in this field for a long time, and the scholar says no. He originally works on a farm, and whenever he manages to save some money, he spends it on this work because he wants to collect useful information so he can improve his family's life. Haim asks if he can see the notes, and the man says of course, because he wants adventurers to benefit from this information as much as possible. When he returned, our hero told Olive a little about the scholar's notes and said that these notes would be extremely useful for all the adventurers in the area. Olive became excited to see the information, and she also asked him whether he remembered that she had spent several days in Yanago. Because of that, a lot of work had piled up on her and she now had to finish it. She felt guilty for throwing all of this work onto him, but it was out of her hands. Haim told her not to worry and that in any case, he would take care of those missions. On the other side, Shoko was telling Natalie that her father was working, so she wanted to take him something to eat. Natalie gladly agreed to help her and also told her that having a father who was a scholar was very special and worthy of admiration. Shoko was happy to hear that, but some lowlifes started saying that since he was a chicken man, he must be stupid. They said it was funny that an ordinary chicken thought of himself as a scholar and that it made no sense at all. Shoko became extremely angry when she heard that because she was sick of stupid people like adventurers who spoke without understanding anything about her father. Suddenly she heard people coming, so she quickly hid. The ones coming were Rirui and our hero. The blonde girl was speaking very badly about Shoko, saying that she was tired of her because she was arrogant and stupid and that she could not stand her at all. She also said that her scholar father was great in everything, but Shoko herself was stupid and only thought she was smart because her father was smart, when she did not even understand that she was foolish. Yes, Rirui said all of that, and it clearly affected Shoko deeply. The next day during breakfast, the scholar came and told Haim that he had shown Olive his data and that she had actually bought his research. Not only that, she also said she would buy his future research as well. He also wanted to thank our hero for helping him, and Haim was very happy for him. The chicken man knew that from now on he would be very busy, so Shoko assumed that they would be staying here for a long time. Because of that, she suggested to Rirui that they become friends so they could understand each other better. The problem was that Rirui's face showed complete rejection, and she could not stand her at all. The next day, our hero wanted to go down to work so he could finish the delayed missions waiting for him, so he intended to leave Rirui behind. But she refused and said that if he had a lot of work, then he needed her help even more. Haim suddenly said to her, "Look over there, a flying slime." Of course, it was a trick to distract her, and it worked perfectly, because he managed to escape from her. Rirui tried to run after him, but Anyango stopped her and told her that there was no point in chasing him. Olive heard the noise and came out, saying that she needed help from 2 bronze rank adventurers. That immediately changed Rirui's mood completely. She told them that the job was to organize the guild's work, such as sorting available missions, cleaning the floor, and similar tasks. But the problem was that Rirui noticed Olive had given the other girl administrative work, while she was only doing cleaning. That made her think a lot. A little later, it became clear that Anyango was far stronger than her. Rirui could not even carry a simple box, and she began feeling useless. She kept saying that she was good for nothing, that she was a failure, and all those harsh words. But Anyango did not understand why Rirui was speaking about herself so badly, especially since she had finished almost all the work and cleaned the entire place. As for Rirui, she felt that anyone could have done what she had done. She felt deeply discouraged because she could not read, she was weak, she could not write, and she did not see herself as useful as an adventurer. That feeling troubled her greatly, because she felt like a burden on any team she joined. The elf began to cry because she was deeply affected by what she heard from her friend. Then Olive entered and asked them what had happened here. After she understood everything, she sat with them to drink tea and told Rirui that the things she had done today were indeed things that anyone could do. But at the same time, she was very impressed that Rirui had carried almost all the work on her own. She said that now she understood why Rirui was Haim's partner. Then she began explaining that adventurers in the area often accept missions that no one else wants, missions with little time and low pay. But if they do not handle them properly, the entire village could suffer. And the most important thing a local adventurer needs is commitment to their work, no matter the circumstances. She said that this was clear in both Haim and Rirui, and that it was a very good thing. That night, Haim returned and told Olive that he had finished his work, and he was shocked when he found Rirui sleeping there. Olive explained to him that Rirui and Anyango had helped her with the guild's work. Haim thought that was a good thing, but Olive said that she wanted to ask him some questions. A little later, the two of them were returning to the inn, and it seemed that Haim had a new plan. The next morning, he used his day off and took Rirui to school. Anyango went as well, because she expected that Rirui would enjoy learning. Rirui did not understand anything, because Haim had not told her about it beforehand. All he told her was to enjoy herself at school. A little later, we saw that Rirui and Shoko had become the new students in the class. Rirui was extremely nervous because she was sitting beside Shoko, since she could not stand her. The teacher asked Rirui what she wanted to learn today, but Rirui fell silent because of her nerves. Then she encouraged herself and said that she wanted to learn how to read and write. The teacher agreed and said they would practice both naturally. Since Shoko already knew how to read and write, she asked her to help Rirui. Shoko said there was no problem, since it was easy, and even someone stupid like Rirui could learn it with some practice. A little later, it was clear that Rirui was putting in a great deal of effort. Shoko asked her why she was taking it so seriously, since as an adventurer, it should be enough for her to just fight monsters. Rirui said that was not enough, because she wanted to read missions and monster information by herself, and she wanted to become like Haim. Shoko said that this was not a bad goal, and that she understood how she felt a little, because she also wanted to become a scholar like her father. That was her true dream. Rirui kept looking at her, and suddenly she understood. This was the word she had been searching for. Dream. Her dream was to become a great adventurer. Shoko stayed quiet for a moment, then told her to hold the pen better so her letters would not come out crooked. It seemed that the two of them might finally start understanding each other a little. Anyango entered to ask Rirui how she was doing, and she also introduced herself to Shoko, saying that she knew she was Rirui's new friend. Of course, this made the situation between the three of them extremely awkward. A little later, when all the students went outside to play, Rirui became very excited, but Shoko asked why she was not going out as well. Shoko said that she wanted to stay and read a little so she could learn more. At the same time, Haim and the scholar were working together because they had to study the creatures around them. The scholar said that in his village there were no large flying insects like these, which was worth noting. Suddenly, they heard Shoko's voice, and the scholar was surprised because it was extremely rare for him to see her playing with new friends. The scholar was very happy and said that this village was beautiful and that the nature and energy in this place were truly impressive. He was very pleased with how things were going. In the middle of the night, while our hero was sleeping, the ground began to shake violently, as if there were an earthquake. As usual, the scholar said that these earthquakes had been happening often lately, and of course that was not normal at all. The next day, after a long day in the Mazmoa, Haim and Rirui met an elderly woman who thanked them for taking their work seriously, saying that the village was safe because of them. Suddenly, some people appeared and asked Haim whether he was the village adventurer. But our hero did not wait for even a second and hit every one of them directly as a precaution. The people were shocked and asked what was wrong with him, telling him to wait because there was no need for such violence, since they had only been asking. It turned out that they were the village guards, meaning the ones responsible for protecting it from harmful people. At that moment, Natalie appeared and greeted Jean, and it seemed that the two of them knew each other. Our hero immediately sat down and started bothering him because he suspected that Jean liked Natalie. He told him not to worry because he surely would not be pleased to know that our hero was staying at her inn. Haim asked Natalie what she thought of him, and she said that he was just a good friend. Yes, the word that breaks the heart. Our hero laughed at him harshly, so Jean wanted to hit him, but of course, he was no match for him. Jean said that he would never accept him as one of the villagers, then left when his friends told him to leave Haim alone because he was irritating. Natalie asked Haim whether something had happened between them, and he told her no, that Jean had only come to boast about protecting the village. She said that she knew that, and that Jean loved the village very much and protected it, and she considered him a brave and kind person. Our hero was surprised by how she spoke about him after breaking his heart at the inn. Ryo asked Haim about Jean's words, and about him saying that he would not accept him as one of the villagers. Haim said that it was nonsense, but that it was probably because he was still new to the place. When he met Ryo, he had also only recently arrived. Ryo wondered why Jean said that when Natalie, the inn owner, and Olive were all kind. Haim explained to her that those people were used to dealing with outsiders, so their way of thinking had become broader, but not everyone was like that. Normally, it takes time before people consider you one of them. Ryo told him to stop fighting with people, because he looked bad when he hit them. It was clear that Haim did not want to continue talking about the subject, so he told her to get ready so they could go eat. At night, while they were sleeping, another earthquake struck. Our hero was confused by what was happening, and then it became clear that there was an extremely strange creature and its appearance was not friendly at all. A little later, Olive gathered everyone and said that there was an extremely dangerous monster and that its threat level was close to a disaster. Its name was Boasorio, and it was coming from Mount Kunimi. The strange thing was that Mount Kunimi was 2 mountains away from them, meaning it was very far, but at the same time, not so far that it would be impossible for the monster to reach them. The bigger question was, how had this monster gotten so close to the village? The scholar said that this was indeed an important question. And then something no one expected happened. Suddenly, Richard was the one who took the hit instead of Jessie in order to protect her. Jessie was very happy that he had saved her, but Veronica became annoyed with him and told him that he was not supposed to defend her. He apologized but admitted that the trap had felt as if it were calling to him. At the same time, those 3 were going to face the creature causing the earthquakes. 2 of them said that if they defeated it, they might earn the respect of Natalie and everyone else. But the third said that it did not matter to him, because he simply could not stand Haim. A little later, they found an enormous footprint, and Jean said that despite how frightening it looked, he did not feel afraid. But suddenly, the monster appeared. The situation became extremely difficult because it was terrifyingly aggressive. In order to save Donato, Gian took a very powerful blow that knocked him to the ground, but he got up with difficulty because he was certain that if the monster got close to the town, it would become a huge problem. The monster attacked again, but at the last moment, Haim arrived and blocked the attack. He said that he had hoped to finish it with the first strike, but that did not happen. Jean asked him what he was doing here, and Haim answered that he was working, then told them to leave it to him and return to town quickly. Ryo wanted to attack immediately, but Jean grabbed her and took her away to protect her. Still, he could not understand how Haim was going to face that monster alone. The fight began, and Haim entered a brutal exchange of blows with the monster, even breaking one of its horns. The others stood watching, and Ryo said that Haim's goal was to remove the thorns on its body so it would become weaker. The monster attacked again, and Haim managed to face it, but Elisa wondered how he would remove all those thorns when there were so many. Suddenly, the monster struck Haim with a powerful blow, but he became angry and decided to end the matter. He grabbed a huge rock and threw it at the monster, making it lose balance, then continued striking it until he removed a large portion of its thorns. In the end, he brought the monster down with an extremely powerful blow until it could no longer move. Everyone was shocked by his strength, and Jean began to understand that he had been wrong about him and that he truly was incredibly strong. But suddenly, another earthquake happened and something strange began to emerge. Haim quickly threw Ryo away to protect her, but he suffered a serious injury to his left arm. He did not understand what this creature was, but he knew that he had to calm down and think. The problem was that he was bleeding heavily. He could not run away, and if he kept fighting, he might die within a short time. So he decided to use his special skill. The creature tried to escape, but Haim refused to let it go. With overwhelming strength, he struck it once, and that single blow ended the confrontation. The others ran to help him, but he told them not to scream because screaming would not heal him. Ryo was completely shocked and crying because he had been badly hurt because of her. Jean apologized and said that anyone in their position would have panicked, but he kept asking him whether he was all right. Haim looked at Ryo while she cried, then looked at his wound and noticed that it was bleeding far more than it should. He said that he had had some things he wanted to tell them, but first they had to return to town. When they returned, Natalie and the others focused on his wound as soon as they saw it and realized that he needed urgent treatment. When he woke up, he was a little dazed, then realized that he had truly suffered a serious injury to his left arm. And the first thing he calmly thought of, in a strangely quiet way, was that he was very hungry and wanted to eat. At the same time, Olive was receiving instructions from the guild administration, and it was clear that the guild administration now knew everything that had happened. The message explained that high silver rank adventurers are extremely important, especially in rural areas where they carry many responsibilities. For this reason, the guild controls the work that reaches them so they can continue operating. The message ended with a direct request that the elf restore Jaime's combat ability as quickly as possible. When Olive came out, our hero looked at her and realized that he had been eating her food without noticing. Of course, he apologized, but he said he had been extremely hungry and could not stop himself. Olive immediately lowered her head and said that she was very sorry and that she had not judged the situation properly. She had not expected two high-danger creatures to appear in the same place. She said that she did not know how to compensate him. Jaime asked her to raise her head and reminded her that his right hand was still fine, and that was the most important thing. But the problem was that he was acting in an annoying way with his right hand, and when she tried to respond, she said to him, "If that is what you want, then so be it." He did not understand what she meant, so she left him and went to sleep because of how much he kept joking around. After that, many people came to visit him, ask about his condition, apologize to him, and thank him for what he had done. But in the middle of all of that, he kept asking about Rirui because he had not seen her all day. Anyango entered and asked him if he had woken up, but she was shocked when she saw that he had truly lost his arm. Jaime told her that they had treated the wound with magic, but he needed rest because he had lost a large amount of blood. Suddenly, a strange-looking person entered and said that he had never spoken with our hero before, but had come to thank him because he had helped some young people from his kind. Jaime noticed that he was the leader of the dwarves, but he was extremely surprised because he was very tall. The leader got straight to the point and said that he wanted to give him a prosthetic arm. He explained that he worked in machinery and that this was not the first time he had made an artificial limb. Anyango became very excited and said that his work was amazing, that his devices were unique and worked well, and she advised him to accept. Jaime asked about the price, and the leader told him that the guild in the village would cover the cost. The moment he learned that it was free, he agreed immediately. That was enough for the leader, so he stood up and left while thinking about exactly what he would do. Jaime did not know how to think about the matter, so Anyango asked him if he needed anything. At that moment, they spotted Rirui hiding behind a tree, which was extremely strange. When they called out to her, she immediately ran away. Jaime was deeply surprised. He had lost his arm, and yet she was running away from him. Olive was looking at him with a very annoyed face, because there was no logic at all in him taking the girl with him on such a dangerous mission. And so that his position would not look too bad, our hero said loudly to Rirui that she was wrong for wanting to go on a dangerous mission, that she had to take responsibility for herself, and that she had to know how to defend herself on her own. But as we know, this girl's mind works in a completely different direction, so she replied that it was fine because she was strong enough to defeat anyone. The elf looked at the two of them as if she could not understand how they could both be this reckless. At the same time, those three were walking with the intention of eliminating the creature causing the earthquakes. Two of them said that if they killed it, they might earn Natalie's respect and the respect of the whole town. The leader began explaining to him that dwarf technology had not yet reached the point of restoring sensation, but that did not mean they could not add new features that a natural arm could not perform. With the clear enthusiasm of someone who loved his work, he told him that even if this arm fell into a volcano or was struck by a dragon, nothing would happen to it. Our hero was extremely grateful, but at the same time, he was surprised by how passionate this strange man was about his work. On the way to the guild, Jaime saw Anyango and Rirui making a chair because the old chair had broken. Anyango said that this chair could withstand dragon's weight. Rirui and Shoko were extremely surprised and actually believed that the chair could withstand that weight. The conversation was interrupted when an old man passed in front of them, his back looking exhausted from gathering so many radishes. When Anyango, Rirui, and Shoko learned that he still had work left, they offered to help him and finish the work in his place. But what Anyango pulled out of the ground was not an ordinary radish, but a strange creature that looked like a radish, and then it ran away quickly. Somehow the elf managed to catch it, and it turned out that this old man was Anyango's teacher in gathering radishes. After that, our hero said that the prosthetic arm did not show at all when he wore the glove. He realized how amazing this technology was. So he asked the leader whether he had a teacher in the past. The leader said yes, and that when he was young, there had been someone who helped him develop his skills. Jaime heard this and remembered Rirui. He uses a heavy weapon, while she uses a sword. He is weak in magic, while she has talent in it. So he began thinking that perhaps it would be better for her to learn under someone else. Suddenly, the leader asked about the function of that button, and the answer was obviously very clear. When they returned to the inn, Jaime learned that Veronica had done a great job at the guild, but what drew his attention more was that creature. And after focusing on it carefully, he asked it to take off its clothes. At night, Jaime saw a strange dream, where he saw Rirui using her mysterious ability to tease him a little. When he woke up, he became serious and ordered Rirui to get ready because they were going to test whether Richard was suitable to become her teacher in swordsmanship and magic or not. That day's mission was to hunt a group of mountain wolves. Veronica asked whether he was truly ready for a mission like that, and he answered confidently that she should relax, since he now had a new arm. On the way, Jaime kept watching Richard closely and staring at him constantly until he started to look nervous, and Veronica noticed this and did not like it at all. When our hero realized that Rirui was still sad, he decided to prove to her that he could now do things he had not been able to do before thanks to his new arm, and that he had become stronger than he used to be. This encouraged her greatly, so she decided to give everything she had that day. Rirui claimed that she had caught a mountain wolf by herself, but Jaime asked her to let go of the rabbit she was carrying. He was waiting to see what Richard would do so he could evaluate his level, but the moment the monster appeared, Veronica quickly interfered to show herself off in front of Jaime, so he scolded her and told her that she had made a mistake by interfering in something she had not been asked to do, which made her angry. In the middle of the chaos, a wolf suddenly appeared, but Richard killed it in an instant with a bow and arrow. Jaime was confused because he had believed that Richard used a sword and magic, but Richard explained that those were only rumors, and that the whole thing began when he once saved Veronica with wind magic, but he did not actually rely on those abilities. At that moment, Jaime realized that there was no escape from training Rirui himself, and she told him that this was the least she expected from him, making it clear that the two of them would be staying together for a long time. Then we move to a memory from the past, where Veronica was deeply fascinated by a girl with long, smooth hair, unlike her own hair, and that bothered her a little. We return to the present, where a strange man appears and greatly exaggerates in praising Veronica, speaking about her beauty and everything about her. Jaime asked Tanya who he was, and she told him that he was the mayor of Yanago and one of Veronica's customers, and that he had come to visit her during his vacation. The mayor asked her why she was working as an adventurer despite the danger, and offered to provide everything she needed if the matter was related to money, but she thanked him and explained that many of her customers were adventurers, and that was why she chose to become an adventurer, so she could provide them with better service. The man was moved by her words and continued praising her, then told her that he would wait for her in Yanago. After he left, Tanya asked her how long she would stay in the town, and she answered that she did not know, but that she would not stay forever because her customers were waiting for her. Tanya reassured her that the place would keep operating during her absence. The gifts the mayor left behind were impressive and amazed everyone, and Veronica offered our hero to take whatever he wanted, but he refused and was satisfied with what he already had. Rirui asked how she attracted men to her like that, and Veronica answered that she would understand when she grew older and became like her, and advised her to take care of her hair and let it grow because it was beautiful, confirming that a woman's hair was important. But Rirui replied that she was an adventurer and needed freedom of movement, and that she had no time for such things. Jaime agreed with her, saying that an adventurer does not busy himself with his hair. Veronica described his behavior as careless, then noticed the length of his hair and insisted on cutting it. He agreed but started complaining because she was cutting it without asking him what he wanted. While cutting it, she reminded him that they had known each other for a long time, and that she had not expected him to reach this level. He answered her in the same way, confirming that she had become what she once dreamed of being. Here we return to the past, when she used to cut his hair, and each of them promised the other that she would become the queen of the night with long, beautiful hair, while he would become a strong adventurer who would never know hunger. We return to the present, where Jaime expresses his surprise that the mayor likes her, and she answers that she did not expect him to come specifically to see her. Then he suddenly tells her that she has stayed in the town for a long time and should start thinking about leaving, so she hits him and tells him to stop joking. After she finishes cutting his hair, she notices that he has fallen asleep in place, so she decides to go out for a walk and asks Rirui if she wants to accompany her. As for the dwarf girl, she intended to clean, but she ruined Jaime's appearance and made him look strange. At the same time, Veronica went out for a walk, and when she heard about a giant spider in the storage room, she went to deal with it but disappeared, so everyone concluded that the spider had kidnapped her. Jaime decided to save her, and they entered the nest, which was full of webs and worms. During the search, Rirui found Veronica trapped and unable to move and tried to help her, but the two of them could not defeat the spider until Jaime arrived at the right time. After saving her, Veronica kept laughing at his appearance because his head looked almost bald because of what had happened. In the end, they returned, and Richard told her that short hair suited Veronica, so she began to accept her new appearance. As time passed, Jaime's hair returned to normal, and in the market he bought a necklace for Natalie, which stirred Rirui's jealousy and made her ask for a gift, so he gave her food instead. Then Rirui admitted that she wanted Jaime to see her as a mature girl, so Veronica advised her to be more feminine if she wanted to draw attention. In the end, Veronica admitted that she sometimes used her power to influence Jaime and make him do what she wanted, but that it was temporary and more like deception. Rirui bluntly said that if she had that power, she would use it all the time, which surprised Veronica, so she told her that this power appears differently for each person, and that she had to wait until it manifested in her. She also promised her a surprise the next day. The next day, she kept her promise, took care of Rirui's appearance, and put makeup on her, to the point that Natalie praised her beauty. But when Jaime saw her, he innocently asked whether she had eaten something greasy because her lips were shiny, which made the girls angry because of his naivete. On the way, he admitted that he had not realized she was wearing makeup and wanted to apologize. Rirui honestly asked him what she should do for him to consider her a mature girl, and Anyango hesitated and did not know what to say. After thinking, Jaime told her that she was beautiful as she was, and that she would become even more beautiful when she grew up. But deep inside, she felt that it was only a compliment, not what she truly wanted. The dwarf girl decided to become stronger in order to change his opinion, and Rirui suddenly fell into a hole, where she faced a fast creature, managed to defeat it, and leveled up. She tried a magical attraction ability, but it did not affect Jaime, only monsters, which made her sad. The next day, she learned about the Harvest Ruler Festival and became excited about the food, then agreed with Anyango and Shoko to create a food stall using dungeon meat. Then a man named Rotan appeared and bothered them, so Rirui used her ability and made his animal attack him. That night, Jaime regained memories of his childhood and wished that Rirui could live moments like those, but then monsters attacked the village. Olive objected to bringing Rirui along, so our hero pretended to refuse in front of people, but she insisted on going. At the same time, some people were planning to face the creature causing the earthquakes. After they found an enormous track, the monster suddenly appeared, and it was extremely aggressive. Jean took a powerful blow while trying to save Donato, but got up again, determined to stop the monster from reaching the village. At the decisive moment, Jaime arrived and blocked the attack, ordering them to return to town while he handled the situation. Rirui wanted to fight, but Jean grabbed her and pulled her back to keep her safe, unable to believe that Jaime could face this monster alone. When he returned to the inn, he immediately fell asleep and began dreaming about his past. Back then, he was a mischievous little boy who often got himself into trouble with others. He sat with Ricky and Bobby, two friends who shared the same circumstances as him. Food was very scarce, so they divided it among themselves, and even then they slept hungry. Ricky suggested that each of them talk about his dream instead of complaining. Jaime said that his dream was to eat until he was full whenever he wanted. Bobby said that he wished to marry a girl named Veronica, and if she was the same Veronica they knew, then perhaps he never achieved his dream. As for Ricky, his dream was to become an adventurer who lived in a quiet village, owned a simple house, and lived among nature with friends like him in a kind village. Jaime woke up from sleep, and when he noticed Rirui's absence, he went back to sleep again, because she was at the festival, preparing to run the food stall with the girls. At night, Jaime went out again to face the monsters attacking the town, while Rirui woke up to go to the bathroom and tried to hide her power, but Natalie passed by and saw her in her larger form, with the bracelet on her hand shining. Early in the morning, when Jaime returned, Natalie asked to speak with him and asked him about Rirui, telling him that she had seen her at night, that something on her hand had been glowing, and that she did not understand what was happening and feared it might be dangerous. Jaime reassured her that there was nothing to worry about and that even he did not fully understand it himself. Natalie reminded him of the old woman's warning that any strange matter had to be reported and asked him whether it was connected to the monster attacks, but he confirmed that Rirui had nothing to do with what was happening. After that, Natalie realized that he was hiding the matter to protect Rirui from people's words, but she remained worried. At the same time, Olive came asking about Jaime, and Rirui told him that he was still asleep. He said that this was normal because Jaime had been fighting monsters at night, and the true reason behind the attacks was still unknown. Rirui was surprised by the matter, but she decided to continue working at the stall because it was important to her. Natalie asked Olive why he wanted to speak with Jaime, and he replied that Jaime had seemed worried for some time, and that the least they could do was help him, especially since he had not complained even after losing his arm. Olive believed that our hero was far too kind, but that he did not realize it. Jaime continued fighting the monsters, but he did not understand why there were so many of them, so he assumed that the approaching full moon might be the reason, especially with their increasing ferocity and repeated attacks. The next morning, Olive scolded him because he had not asked for help and asked him whether he thought they would blame Rirui, and whether he did not understand them at all. Veronica pulled his ear and confirmed that anything related to Rirui had to be said immediately, reminding him that he was no longer alone and that there was a little girl under his responsibility, so he had no right to deal with problems by himself. Natalie apologized because she had not been able to hide what she saw from Olive, but she reassured him that after thinking about it, they had all decided to protect Rirui. Their goal now was to get through the night of the full moon by any means, because after that, her power would become relatively stable again. The old man reminded them that today was the Harvest Ruler Festival, and that the entire town would gather to make the children happy, which was extremely important. Our hero remembered his friend's dream, so he agreed without hesitation. When he returned to the inn, he wanted to speak with Rirui, but he could not find her. A little later, Olive gathered everyone who could help and began setting up a plan to face the monsters in the best possible way. Natalie told the girls that Rirui was missing, so they wanted to look for her, but she asked them to stay at the stall because Jaime would handle the search, and because if the stall was missing when Rirui returned, it would make her sad. Everyone was convinced and continued working. As for our hero, he was searching for her with great concern, and Dragon helped him with a signal he understood. Meanwhile, Rirui was walking sadly while looking at her bracelet. In the morning, while she was heading to the festival, she had heard Olive telling people that Rirui possessed a strange power from an ancient bloodline, that she was the reason monsters were being drawn to the town, and that he was asking everyone to help face them. She began wondering whether our hero was exhausting himself because of her, and because she did not want to cause problems or ruin the festival, she decided to leave and stay away so that no one would be hurt because of her. She was very sad, but she saw it as the solution to protect the others. Suddenly, her power went out of control more than ever before, creating a severe disturbance until even the giant birds began moving unnaturally. This guided our hero to her location, but the problem was that this power also attracted dangerous creatures. When one of the monsters tried to attack her, she fell until she reached a place near the river. And worse still, that place was not safe, because other creatures suddenly appeared around her. Despite her fear, she refused to give up because an adventurer does not allow fear to control them. Suddenly, Dragon appeared and attacked one of the monsters. Then our hero arrived and began fighting. He was not alone either, because all the villagers had come to defend her. Rirui could not hold herself together and burst into tears. After the monsters were defeated, our hero approached her and scolded her for worrying all of them, asking why she had not asked for help. Reminding her that they were one team and asking her what she wanted to do. She answered while crying that she wanted to go to the festival with him and the villagers. He encouraged her a little until she calmed down and her happiness returned, and she decided to keep going. Suddenly, the full moon began to disappear, so Veronica announced that it was over. Since the festival was still going, Rirui rushed back to the village to catch up with it and apologized to her friends for being late, making one of them cry from happiness. But there was no time to talk, because work was waiting for them, and the line was already long. The people wore deer costumes in celebration of the festival, and a beautiful scene appeared as the sky lit up as if it were filled with hidden magic. Rirui saw that sight in her larger form, and it was said that those were lucky stars that appear at the end of the festival, so she decided to bring one to Jaime. But when she reached him, she found him asleep and dreaming, remembering his past when he told his friends that he did not need a village or a group because having the two of them with him was enough. Ricky hugged them and thanked them for being his best friends, then asked them to become adventurers so they could find a place where they could live together. Weeks later, the two set out on a new mission, because the life of adventurers never stops. And here the story comes to an end, my dear viewers. We hope you liked it and enjoyed it. If you want a second season, tell us in the comments, and do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to follow more episodes. Goodbye.